Over 3,000 years ago, in the golden age of ancient Jerusalem, King Solomon accumulated a fortune so immense it would be worth trillions today. He wasn't just lucky. He possessed a secret blueprint for infinite wealth that changed the world forever. Have you ever wondered why some people attract abundance effortlessly while others struggle in the shadows of debt? History suggests that Solomon's riches were not merely a gift from the heavens, but the result of specific mental laws. The Queen of Sheba traveled across treacherous deserts just to witness the sheer magnitude of his golden empire. She was stunned by the architectural marvels and the strategic brilliance that fueled his legendary prosperity. Most historians focus on the gold, but they miss the psychological triggers and the hidden discipline found in his ancient Proverbs. These are the forgotten keys to modern financial freedom that remain hidden in plain sight. Imagine cracking the code of the wealthiest man to ever walk the earth. The truth behind his gold mines and his unparalleled wisdom is far more shocking than any myth you've heard. The path to true riches starts here. But are you ready to look beyond the surface of scrolls? To grasp the sheer scale of this golden empire, one must analyze the specific records detailing an annual influx of 666 talents of pure gold. This astronomical sum did not enter the royal vaults through simple conquest or basic taxation, but through a highly sophisticated naval logistics network far ahead of its time. Solomon established the legendary fleet of Tarshish, a formidable maritime force that operated alongside skilled Phoenician navigators to reach distant, incredibly wealthy lands like Ophir. These perilous expeditions returned laden not just with precious metals, but with rare gemstones, exotic sandalwood, and fine ivory, ensuring a vast diversification of assets, while neighboring kingdoms remained limited to local bartering and small-scale trade. The Hebrew monarch expanded his influence over the vital routes connecting Mesopotamia directly to Egypt. He transformed Israel's geographic location into a strategic trade hub, guaranteeing a constant and growing flow of foreign capital in a sacred soil. The true innovation lay in how he managed this overwhelming abundance, systematically dividing the entire kingdom into 12 distinct administrative districts that operated with absolute rigor. Each administrative sector was held responsible for providing for the king's court for exactly one specific month of the annual calendar, eliminating production bottlenecks. This created an efficient bureaucratic machine that eliminated waste and ensured the total sustainability of the royal palace through organized cycles of collective contribution. Such precise organization allowed him to execute massive construction projects, using advanced engineering techniques that still intrigue modern researchers today due to their speed and perfection. The king was not merely a spiritual leader or a symbolic figure. He was an absolute master of resource allocation, understanding that wealth requires order. Historians suggest that his wisdom involved mastering complex market cycles and the aggressive diversification of physical assets, avoiding any dangerous reliance on a single resource or source. He traded high-quality chariots between Egypt and the Hittite kings, acting as a centralized intermediary who controlled global supply and demand. By establishing clever alliances through strategic marriages, he neutralized external threats and transformed potential enemies into highly profitable commercial partners, ensuring decades of financial stability and peace for his people. What truly separated Solomon from other rulers was his unique ability to convert abstract knowledge into tangible profit, applying rigorous principles of justice. While the gold flowed, the monarch developed an internal intelligence system that gathered data on valuable harvests in neighboring regions, allowing him to sell Israel's surplus. This occurred during times of high scarcity, maximizing profits when others were most desperate to buy, thus elevating the national economy to legendary levels. This analytical vision is considered by many scholars to be the first historical example of risk management, ensuring the kingdom thrived even during regional famines and crises. How could one man maintain control over such a fortune without corruption destroying his legacy during the long decades of his government? The answer resided in an impeccable organization and constant vigilance, where a law of merit was applied rigorously within his hierarchy. The immense weight of this monumental structure did not rest solely on the beams of cedar from Lebanon, but on the very soul of the people of Israel. While the gold glittered intensely under the desert sun, a complex web of mixed emotions began to pulse in the hearts of the 12 tribes. Solomon's prosperity was a double-edged sword, where the brilliance of national glory hid the deep marks of exhaustion of those who raised the temple columns. Imagine the silence that hung over Jerusalem in the early hours of the morning, where the king sought answers to maintain the cohesion of such a vast territory. The wisdom he sought was not merely theoretical, but a tool for emotional survival in the face of the pressure of governing minds and hearts hungry for purpose. Every decision made in the courts of justice echoed like thunder, defining forever the destiny of families and entire generations to come. Psychological tension grew as the demands of the empire increased, creating an environment where excellence was the only acceptable currency of exchange. The monarch understood that to maintain the flow of wealth, internal discipline had to be unshakable, almost like a sacred clockwork mechanism. This relentless search for administrative perfection generated an atmosphere of deep reverence and, at the same time, a silent fear running through the corridors. But what almost no one knows is that there is a hidden detail in this search for financial and personal mastery that can be applied perfectly. If you want to go deeper and understand how these principles operate, we prepared a material for you in the description below the video. It is said that Solomon spent entire nights observing the stars, trying to decipher how the order of the cosmos could be mirrored in the economy. He realized that true abundance only remains where there is an exact balance between firm authority and strategic generosity. However, the isolation that extreme wealth imposes began to surround the throne, transforming the king into an increasingly enigmatic figure. Records indicate that, in the midst of luxury, the king faced internal battles against his own human nature, which always desires more than is necessary. This emotional conflict brought a rare vulnerability to a leader of such magnitude, showing that even the richest man possessed immense spiritual voids. Gold bought the silence and security of the borders, but it could not appease the restlessness of a spirit that saw beyond material appearances. History shows us that Solomon's wealth was not just an accumulation of goods, but a constant test of character and resilience. In the face of absolute power, each new alliance brought a new ethical dilemma, testing the limits of that wisdom he had initially received. While the vaults overflowed, the complexity of human management became the true epic challenge of his long life dedicated to the kingdom and glory. At the end of each day, the shadows of the walls narrated the story of a monarch who possessed everything, but understood the fragility of each material conquest. The silent decline of this golden empire began the exact moment that divine wisdom was replaced by a dangerous, intoxicating sense of self-sufficiency. Solomon, the brilliant architect of an era without precedent, watched as the first cracks appeared not in the temple marble, but in the moral foundations of his royal court. The most disturbing revelation that modern historians debate today is that Solomon's complex system eventually became a machine that began to consume its own creators. The constant flow of massive gold reserves required increasingly heavy taxes, transforming the people's admiration into a muffled resentment fueled by a growing sense of deep anguish. The true turning point in this legendary saga occurred when the king allowed external influences to dictate the internal culture of Israel's sacred heritage. His hundreds of political alliances, sealed by strategic marriages, brought foreign deities and practices that collided head-on with the spiritual essence and purity of his chosen nation. The climax of this rising tension was not an external war, but a slow erosion of the unity he had built with such mastery and absolute dedication over the years. The man who once spoke of nature and the secrets of the universe now seemed a prisoner of his own luxurious, excessively heavy, and complex bureaucratic structure. Studies suggest that the economy of ancient Jerusalem suffered from a form of invisible inflation, where the sudden excess of precious metals devalued honest manual labor. The final secret of Solomon for enriching his kingdom contained a dark warning that many modern entrepreneurs ignore when trying to blindly replicate his financial methods. Absolute wealth, when disconnected from social justice and its original higher purpose, creates a vacuum of authority that attracts inevitable, total, and devastating chaos. The monarch realized, perhaps far too late, that no amount of treasure could buy the sincere loyalty of a heart that felt truly forgotten by its own crown. In the deep shadows of the palace corridors, conversations about succession and division began to echo much louder than the daily royal prayers offered to the living God. Solomon's wisdom, once a bright beacon for the entire world, seemed obscured by the thick fog of vanity and the unbearable weight of a heavy golden crown. The empire that began with a humble request for understanding ended in a display of power that bordered on extreme, cold, and calculating administrative tyranny. It was this internal contradiction that prepared the stage for the monumental fall that would eventually divide the nation after his physical departure from this world. The lesson that remains for our present time is that Solomon's prosperity was a historical ecosystem that was incredibly delicate, fragile, and highly complex to maintain. It depended entirely on the integrity of the leader to keep a perfect balance between rapid economic growth and the internal social stability necessary for survival. When this balance was broken by the relentless pursuit of personal glory, the entire structure became unsustainable. It was ready for a sudden, violent, tragic collapse. The lingering echo of Solomon's immense wealth still resonates through the deep cracks of time, whispering vital lessons about the danger of building an empire on purely material foundations. As we contemplate the majestic ruins of that golden era, we realize the gold was merely an external reflection of an internal order. Once that internal balance was shattered, the entire physical structure inevitably collapsed into the dust of history, leaving only legends. The true code of prosperity left by the king was not engraved on cold coins of precious metal, but in the discipline of maintaining integrity while power grows. Many modern historians argue that Solomon's final secret was his unique ability to view the global economy as a living, interconnected system. He understood, long before any modern financial theory, that wealth flows toward places where there is predictability, justice, and impeccable logistics. However, his trajectory serves as a dark mirror for all those who seek abundance without considering the heavy weight of human responsibility. There is a detail in all of this that most people never understand, because no one teaches the complete context. We studied this more deeply, and it completely changed the vision of these stories. If you want to go deeper and truly understand what lies behind this, we prepared a material for you in the description below the video that explains everything in a much deeper way. The legacy of history's wealthiest monarch invites us to reflect on what truly sustains a life of lasting achievements. Is it possible to reach such financial magnitude today without sacrificing inner peace or the cohesion of one's own fundamental principles? This question remains without a definitive answer, challenging each new generation to find the perfect balance between ambition and wisdom. If this journey through the hidden riches of Jerusalem brought a new perspective to you, consider joining our community to explore more enigmas. Knowledge is the only currency that never devalues with time, and your search for answers is what keeps these ancient stories alive. After all, the wisdom Solomon requested at the start of his journey is still the most valuable asset a human being can possess. Do you believe extreme wealth is a divine blessing or the ultimate test for the resilience of human character? In the end, even the purest gold turns to ashes.